myself.
Disgusting and demoralizing.
As she made those allegations via the hashtag MeToo, trending after the Harvey Weinstein.
He wraps his arm around me and comes over and tweaks my left
The door to
boob.
Harvey Weinstein's sordid world opened, and doors started flying open in politics and business.
Now 65, he's already been accused by a number of
The
women.
International Trade Minister asked his assistant to buy sex toys.
Humiliation and shame.
And that's how these things get swept under the rug.
Silence has given the wrong people power for too long, and it's time to take our power back.
It creates a culture of silence and where victims feel, culpable.
And that is a phenomenon of human nature to sometimes
In
be
the UK,
sadistic.
the defense secretary accused of unwanted touching quit.
I'm a good father, I recycle, and I masturbate. And I'm proud of it. And God's happy.
Silence is power for sexual predators, and it feels to me like we're at a turning point.
We have seen a seismic shift in the landscape around sexual assault and sexual harassment. What do you make of it?
I think what people have to understand is that this is about power. This is not about sex. This is about powerful people, men and women, but mostly men because they're mostly in positions of power, going after vulnerable young victims who are in junior positions who cannot necessarily say something about it. And this is about humiliation and shame. And people have stayed quiet because it is humiliating. That's the point of it. It is to make the person feel shamed and even potentially guilty, as if maybe did I do something here, which is why it's so difficult to speak out, why it's taken years for often women to say something, and why it's taken a crowd to break the ice, to make this a watershed moment, to not feel alone. Oh, usually victims feel very alone. Shame them, to make them less than me, to push them down, to control them, to prove that I am the most powerful to myself. Sometimes people have sociopathy involved with this, and they really don't have empathy for others, truly. That's like a chip missing, and they truly feel the most important thing is gratifying themselves and feeling that they're the most powerful. This is not men versus women. This is powerful people taking advantage of and harassing younger, junior, vulnerable people. This is sort of bullying on steroids, if you will, and that is a phenomenon of human nature to sometimes be sadistic. Parents need to educate sons and daughters about this issue.
Comedian Louis C.K. is facing serious charges of sexual misconduct and lewd acts that 5 women described as disgusting.
Now 5 women have told the New York Times that the comedian's riffs about masturbation have a disturbing connection to real life.
The women's allegations published in a lengthy piece on the New York Times website this afternoon allege C.K. either masturbated in front of them, asked to do it, or did it
He
over
often
the
discusses
phone.
and mimes masturbation in his act.
And he kept doing that gesture that guys like to do. That's my favorite dumb guy gesture, yeah.
I'm a good father, I recycle, and I masturbate. And I'm proud of it. And God's happy.
Describe a similar experience. The Newton native taking off his clothing
These
and touching
comedians
himself.
who have performed on the same Boston area stages where Louis C.K. got his start applauding the alleged victims
They're really
for coming
just
forward.
putting themselves out there and saying, okay, this is what we've all been going through. We all know it. Now we're speaking it. We're saying our truth.
The flood of accusations has opened up a national discussion on sexual harassment and sexual assault.
Facing another accusation of sexual harassment, American actor and producer Steven Seagal is no stranger to controversy. Now he's making headlines in Hollywood's harassment
On
scandal.
her Sirius XM radio show this week, actress Jenny McCarthy claims she was sexually harassed by Steven Seagal back in 1995 during an audition for the film Under Siege 2. In addition to McCarthy, Seagal has recently been accused by model Fabiola Dadis and Arrested Development actress
44-year-old De Rossi was the first to speak out against the 65-year-old filmmaker, and she detailed her alleged experience with him in a Twitter post on Wednesday, November 8th.
The wife of talk show host Ellen DeGeneres, she says Seagal unzipped his trousers at an audition.
McCarthy also shared a story similar to De Rossi's. In each case, both women were auditioning for roles in front of Seagal, and he would then ask them to disrobe
According
in
to
front
McCarthy,
of him.
Seagal was the only person in the room when she entered the audition. He then allegedly said the part contained nudity and asked her to undress. McCarthy went on to say, I looked up at him, went from shock to sadness.
He warned her not to tell anybody of the alleged encounter, or else.
I wouldn't tell you what I think it is. It was just some dumb that is a liar and wanted to be sensational. If I ever see her again, I'll tell her to her face. I think she belongs to
I think maybe this might be different. And I think it might be different because some of the victims are well known.
The fact that the consequences have been so severe for somebody as powerful as Harvey, I think is a real kind of shot across the bow of any man who's engaged in this kind of behavior. I'm hopeful that would make them, that would deter them from doing it, or make them think twice, or you go like, wait a minute, you have to take responsibility for your actions. There's
I think there's a
accountability
lesson.
now.
I think there really is a lesson. The lesson is that it's important that people feel safe enough to come forward, and it's important that I think that it creates a culture of silence and where victims feel, culpable, and we need to now know that it's not their fault and to hold people accountable.
There has to be
for
something
actions.
good that comes out of it. There has to be something that, for instance, women have to feel safe to be able to come out, and they have to feel that they're going to be believed. And the men who do this, the people who are committing these assaults, have to not feel safe, have to feel less safe, or feel that they'll be exposed or prosecuted. If we can get to that, then there's something good that comes out of this, and that's what you have to hope for.
Lethal Weapon actress and former TRL co-host Hillary Burton claims Ben Affleck groped her in the past. After a fan tweets the actor grabbed Hillary Burton's breasts on TRL once, then states, everyone forgot though, Hillary responds with, I didn't
his
forget.
arm around me and comes over and tweaks my left boob. I'm just like, what are you doing?
However, makeup artist Anne-Marie Tendler, wife to comedian John Mulaney, took to Twitter saying that Affleck grabbed her ass at a Golden Globes party in 2014. She tweeted, like most women in these situations, I didn't say anything, but I have thought a lot about what I'd say if I ever saw him
Tweets
again.
follow on the heels of the Harvey Weinstein fallout and Affleck's statement denouncing Weinstein's alleged sexual misconduct.
Kevin Spacey's house of cards is collapsing. New allegations are being made. Workers who say Spacey made the set
Kevin
toxic.
Spacey has apologized to another actor who alleges the star made sexual advances toward him when he was only 14. Actor Anthony Rapp described attending a party hosted by Spacey in 1986. Rapp stating that Spacey had picked him up and brought him to a bed after the other guests had left. He thought that Spacey was drunk, pushed him off. If I did behave then as he describes, I owe him the sincerest apology for what would have been deeply inappropriate drunken behavior. And I am sorry for the feelings he describes having carried with him all these years. He stayed quiet for 3 decades, but was inspired to come forward amid other Hollywood sexual abuse stories.
His head was on my stomach and his arms were wrapped around my torso very affectionately, I would suppose. He certainly wasn't aggressive, but it was affectionate and certainly not something I was
Following a
comfortable
string of sexual misconduct allegations, actor Kevin Spacey is reportedly seeking treatment. It's not clear what sort of treatment Spacey will undergo, or whether that treatment will be geared toward sexual abusers. Harvey Weinstein, whose alleged misconduct opened the floodgates for more accusations, is currently undergoing treatment. Having completed a one-week outpatient program last month, the film mogul is reportedly staying on. Some psychology experts are doubting the effectiveness of therapy for accused sexual abusers like Weinstein or Spacey. One told NBC, quote, "I am not sure when being a selfish, misogynistic jerk became a medical
then
disorder."
Politics. Now there are new allegations involving abuse of some of America's top athletes.
The Me Too campaign, created in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein allegations, inspired a former Olympian to come forward with some new allegations.
Gold medalist Michaela Maroney has gone public with some disturbing allegations. The U.S. gymnast, who was part of the Fierce Five that took gold at the 2012 Summer Games, alleges that she was sexually abused by Dr. Larry Nassar, a doctor who was affiliated with USA Gymnastics for more than 20 years.
People should know that this is not just happening in Hollywood. This is happening everywhere. Wherever there is position of power, there seems to be potential for abuse. She says that Nassar started abusing her when she was just 13 and doing so during medical appointments. And she says that behavior continued until
she writes, "Our silence has given the wrong people power for too long time to take our power back."
In fact, she goes on to detail the scariest night of her life, she says, was when she was 15. She says that Dr. Nassar gave her a sleeping pill for a flight, and she then woke up in his hotel room alone with him, giving her a treatment. "I thought I was going to die that night," she wrote.
Nassar worked with the team for more than 20 years. He's now in jail and has pleaded guilty to possessing child pornography, but not to charges of sexual assault.
23-year-old three-time Olympic gold medalist Ali Raceman is speaking out about abuse that took place in the world
Raceman
of
shared her story with Dr. John LaPook for 60 Minutes.
You don't want to let yourself believe, you know, I am a victim of sexual abuse. Like, it's really not an easy thing to let yourself believe that.
Few athletes have represented their country with as much distinction as Ali Raceman. The doctor she says abused her, Larry Nassar, worked with the U.S. women's national team and athletes at Michigan State University for more than 2 decades. Raceman says Nassar first treated her 8 years ago, when she was 15 years old. Now 23, she talks about her experiences in a new book called Fierce. She will not discuss the graphic details of what Nassar did to her, but she does provide new insight into a scandal that goes to the highest level of her sport.
I'm really upset because I care a lot. You know, when I see these young girls that come up to me and they ask for pictures or autographs, I just want to create change so that they never ever have to go through this.
The door to Harvey Weinstein's sordid world opened, and doors started flying open in politics and business too. A lineup of women and some men have come marching out, realizing they don't have to stay silent. Secrets are toxic. Silence is power for sexual predators, and it feels to me like we're at a turning point. From Hollywood to the political world, what was once taboo is being spoken. In the U.S., more female Congress members have come forward about the lewd remarks and the unwanted touching they've endured.
The chief of staff held my face, kissed me, and stuck his tongue in my mouth.
In the UK, the defense secretary, accused of unwanted touching, quit. The international trade minister asked his assistant to buy sex toys. In the flood of all these stories, it feels like a reckoning is taking place, that men who do this are realizing their secrets are no longer safe. Those who are in power, and in 2017 that's still far more men than women, they need to know what they do and what they say sets the tone. Our Prime Minister calls it an awakening.
There is an awakening. There is an increasing awareness that it's not all right. It's never all right. And regardless of the power or influence or money or fame of the person doing the harassment, it's never excusable, and it should never be kept hidden.
It is the obligation of every man to stop it and every woman not to stand for it, even the daughter of the American president. Here's what she said in Japan today.
All too often, our workplace culture fails to treat women with appropriate respect. This takes many forms, including harassment.
Someone needs to tell her respect starts
In the
at
meantime,
home. The rest of us need to follow our own moral compass. We need to speak up, take the power of secrets away from the powerful, and make sure our kids don't grow up keeping those same secrets.